Blimey, that was a nice lick. Hello, I'm Adrian and welcome to another Nice Lick video. This is actually the 10th in my series of Nice Lick Let's Learn It videos where I show you a nice lick and then we learn it. I wasn't actually sure that the series was going to survive this long, but here we are. Maybe I should start getting some t-shirts made and get some branded Nice Lick merchandise happening or something. Anyway, all seriousness aside, this lick is a really good one, and it's a lick that I use quite a lot in my own playing and soloing, and it will give you a really good way of getting from one end of the fretboard to the other in a nice slippery, slidey kind of fashion. So without any further ado, let me show you how to play the lick. So we have our basic lick which works over an E chord, and the lick goes like this. And then all I did at the start of this video was I played the same thing, but I transposed it so that it was working over an A chord. So let's start with the lick in E, and I'm going to show you the basic idea. Now this is really an arpeggio-based lick, meaning that most of the notes in the lick are already found within the E chord. Now if you know your music theory shizzle, then you will know that the notes in an E major chord are E, G sharp and B. That is the root note, and then the third and the fifth of an E major chord. And we can play those notes like this. We've got an open low E string, and then the fourth fret on the low E string, that's our G sharp, the third. B is the fifth, and that's found at the second fret on the A string. So we've got a little E major arpeggio there. And then what happens is we play the same three notes, but we play them an octave higher like this. So we've now got second fret on the D, sixth fret, and fourth fret on the G. And then we can do that one more time in the next octave. And again, we've got E, G sharp, B. This time it's on the B string, 5, 9, 7, and we can finish off with a high E up here at the 12th fret on the high E string. So it's a really wide-ranging 3-octave E major arpeggio, taking you from the low E string all the way up to the 12th fret on the high E string. Now that in itself is quite a useful arpeggio and a useful sound, but in this particular lick I just added in one more note, and that note is F sharp. And in the key of E, the F sharp is the second or the 9th degree of the E major scale, and that just adds an extra bit of colour to this lick. So now instead of just E, G sharp, B, I've got E, F sharp, G sharp, B. So root, second, third, fifth. And in the lick you can actually slide from the F sharp to the G sharp. And then I'm doing the same thing in the second octave, so I've got E, F sharp, slide to B, and then I do the same thing here. So starting on this E note, slide, and finish on that high E. And that slide just enables you to really smoothly get from one end of the neck to the other. Fingering here I think is important also if you want to get this to sound smooth. So I'm sliding here with my third finger. My first finger is playing both this B and this E. I've got another third finger slide. Then first finger, second finger. Now this bit is important. I'm now jumping onto my third finger for this slide from the F sharp to the G sharp, because that sets me up for the last part of the lick. So I've got second finger, stretching onto my third finger, slide, and I've got the first finger ending on my third finger. I think that's the smoothest way to finger this lick. That's really the first half of the lick. The second half of the lick is made up of this little major pentatonic phrase. So I'm just descending an E major pentatonic scale here. I've got 12-9 on the high E, 12-9 on the B, 11/9 on the G. Then I've got this little Hendrixy double stop. So I'm playing the 9th fret on both the D and the G strings, playing those notes together. And then I'm slamming down my 3rd finger, hammering on to this C sharp note, 11th fret on the D string. Then coming back to the 9th fret. And then I'm continuing with 11 to 9 on the A string, and I've got another Hendrixy double stop. This is the same as the previous one, except now I'm playing it on the A and D strings. If I put the 2 halves of the lick together, it will sound like this. Little detail that I just skimmed over there. I think once I get to the top of the arpeggio, I'm just hinting at a pull off there from 12 to 9, and then I'm descending through the major pentatonic phrase. So that's the basic lick. It should now be fairly easy just to transpose that by shifting it up the fretboard so you can play it over other chords. So all I did was start at the 5th fret on the low E string. I'm now thinking about an A major chord, and really the lick is exactly the same, except now I'm thinking about the notes in an A major chord, and those are A, C sharp and E. And then we just play those same notes up through the octaves. And if you throw in the 2nd, that's a B note, then you have this. Exactly the same lick. The only thing that's changed is that we're starting on a fretted note instead of an open string. Otherwise everything is exactly the same. Then once again we're coming down the major pentatonic scale. Exactly the same thing. I think I end the 2nd phrase slightly differently by doing this. So that's just a little bend at the 16th fret on the G string, coming down to the 14th fret, and then 16 on the D, and then hammer on from 14 to 16 on the G, coming back to this A note at the 14th fret. Then I play the E phrase again. I think I just end the lick slightly differently this time, so exactly the same up to that point. After that first little double stop hammer on, I'm simply going, coming down on the A string, so 11, sliding to 9, 7, and then you can just hit open low E string and play an E chord to wrap things up. If I just put all of that together slowly, we have move it to A, back to E, and maybe a bit more quickly. Just briefly then, the gear I'm using in this video, I've got my Fender Strat, not actually played a Strat for quite a while. I'm really enjoying the sounds I'm getting from this guitar. Amp wise, I'm going into my Vox AC30, And I'm using a couple of pedals today. I've got a bit of compression from the MXR Dynacomp, and then I'm using a J Rocket Designs Archer overdrive pedal. I'm not actually using it for overdrive, the gain is all the way off, just using it to fatten up what is essentially quite a clean sound. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this, you might like to check out the 9 other nice licks in my Nice Lick Let's Learn It archives. Thanks very much for watching. I shall see you next week. Bye bye.